Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Joe Davis, Southern New Hampshire University, Justice 101, Module 3. The assignment is 3-1, the short paper. This is a really important paper for you. Yes, they're all graded during the whole term. This is about you and about your career and the start of establishing your career goals that you're going to get to research here. Okay, so what is it? My encouragement to you is what is it that you want to do? Where do you want to do it? And then the selection of a specific department or agency. So some of you have written and said, oh, I want to be CSI. Okay, we'll walk through that just quickly. CSI falls into a lot of categories. In some police departments, they are police officers that are specially trained to work crime scenes. So they dust for fingerprints and do those sorts of things. If you're thinking of that you want to be a crime scene investigator that goes out on homicides, then you're going to have to want to be a police officer, get promoted or transferred into investigations, and then you'll respond to major crimes. Okay? If you really want to know about all this stuff, you want to get a degree in a hard science, biology, chemistry, physics, those kinds of things, and you are truly scientists, sometimes called criminologist or criminalist, but they're forensic scientists that will come out and work a crime scene or do the work in the lab, that sort of thing. Okay, but what is it that you want to do? Some of you may want to be community corrections counselors. Okay, that's part of the system. You may have a little more trouble finding that to do your research, but it's there. It's part of corrections. Okay, hope that helps you a little bit. Okay, what you need for your paper is to include the requirements of the job, an entry-level position, what training is required to fulfill that job. Tell us about the work environment, what kinds of things do you do. It can be geographic environment, but also the environment within the department. And then what are the responsibilities of your selected profession, okay? The guidelines for submission, remember we're using APA format so you can learn to do that, which means you have a cover page. There are only 3 things listed: the title, your name, and the university. There are running heads, that's a header on every page after that. You have in-text citations where you've taken information, and you will for this paper. When you write that you have to do a polygraph exam, okay, where'd you get that information? Okay, and then your references at the end. 1-inch margin, 12-point font, Times is fine, just not one of those unusual ones. Okay, we're going to take a look at the rubric in just a second, but there are 4 basic parts here, and it says that you need to know about the hiring process. Okay, how do you get from sitting on the couch watching TV to doing whatever it is you want to do? Okay, then the purpose of it, provide each step by step to get through this process. Then a department overview, and I highlighted that because sometimes that gets missed. Okay, that's why you need to select a specific department. Maybe you live in a smaller community and you don't really want to go to work for a police department that has maybe only 15 or 20 police officers and another 10 civilians. Okay, then pick the state police or the state department of corrections or a larger county. It's so that you can go through this process and understand, okay? And then finally, writing mechanics, the articulation of your response. Okay, where can we find the guidelines in Rubric? You go to Learning Modules, you click on Module 3, and then you click on Guidelines and Rubric, which is what we're going to do right now. Okay, this should look familiar. It's the course shell, and for instructors, for faculty, we have a student preview version. So we come over here, as I said, to the Learning Modules. We click on that. We come down here to module number 3, and we click on that. And then we come down here to, I couldn't find it, it's at the bottom. The last entry is Assignment Guidelines and Rubric. Okay, here is your short paper assignment. You also can see the Module 3 Guidelines and Rubric document listed here. So there's probably the easiest place to find it, and there we go. So now it's going to tell you about select a specific department. So please do that because it's just going to hurt your answers. Okay, and you're going to go through the hiring process. the purpose of each step of the process, why is it required, okay? Finally, an overview of your selected profession by discussing the size of the department, what you've identified that you want to do, okay? What the minimum requirements are. Sometimes to be a police officer, a correctional officer, a probation officer, they'll accept you at age 18. Maybe now it's 21. Those are the kinds of things. There's the same APA. This paper probably run about 3 pages, 2 pages, something like that. I will send you out a sample paper so you can see. When we come down here and we look at the hiring process, the we'll look at proficient because over here there's scholarly evidence of it. Submission explains the chronology and steps in the hiring process for the police department, Department of Corrections, or a probation officer. So that those steps are going to be very similar in chronological order for any job, and that is you go down and apply, you fill out an application, or you do it online, or you mail it to them, and then probably after that the first step is going to be some type of a written exam, okay, to screen out people. Then the second part probably will be some type of a physical agility, run an obstacle course, maybe push a car, drag a dummy, those kinds of things. Okay, then the next step after that may be an oral interview, and that's where they determine, yes, we're going to advance you in the process. That'll be followed perhaps by a psychological profile interview. It'll probably be followed by a fairly extensive medical examination. Then there may be the background investigation, and then there may be a chief's interview also. Those are the basic steps that you see around the country. So that when you get over here, if you just list those, you're going to get a proficient score. You'll pass. But if it's supported by scholarly evidence, namely a footnote for where you found it on the website for the police department, the Department of Corrections, the probation department you want to get hired by, then you'll get maximum points. Okay, what is the purpose? Provides the purpose of each step. Why is there a written exam? It's to screen the number of applicants. I should back up and slow down. For every 100 people that apply to major police departments in this country, only 4 are hired. That's how exclusive it is, how difficult it is to get hired. A written exam is a inexpensive way to screen for basic intellect. Can you read? Can you write? Can you reason? Okay, so that would be a purpose for the written exam. The purpose for the physical agility is to see that you are physically fit enough to meet the minimum requirements. Not necessarily to go to the academy, not necessarily to graduate, but what are you likely to be asked to do as a police officer, a correctional officer, a probation officer, and perhaps that is chase after someone, so there may be an obstacle course. There could be a fence you have to go over. That would seem job related. It could be that you'd have to push a car. I've seen some where you have to take a tire out of the trunk. You don't have to change it, whatever. So that would give you an idea of the purposes. The purposes of the oral interview are to present yourself so that people that the department trusts can interview you, see how you answer questions. Are you articulate? Are you shy? Are you extrovert? Those kinds of things. Then the next step after that could be, depends on the order of it, that you advance to medical exam, psychological exam, those kinds of things, because it's going to make sure you're medically fit. It's a very stressful job for police officers, correctional officers. I apologize, I'm not sure about probation officers, so I don't want to make a blanket statement. Heart problems are what's called presumptive. So you can be any age, you can be retired and have a heart attack and go back, and that is a medical disability. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what's there. Let's take one more quick look here. At the last one, the department overview. Tell us a little bit about your department. Okay, and so you'll see it doesn't need to be a lot. The size of the department, the type of department. Is it a county probation department? Is it a state parole office? Those kinds of things. Okay, and then finally, you have no major errors related to citations. Use APA format for your citations. Are there grammatical errors, spelling, syntax, any of those kinds of things? All right. I hope that helps you. If you have questions, let me know. If you have questions about the profession, because I'm going to send you out also a handout that is from the Orange County Sheriff's Department because that's where I used to work. But it lists several jobs that they're currently hiring for. And at least it gives you the opportunity to click on the link and actually see what a large government agency is looking for. All right, if you have questions, let me know and keep those cards and letters